What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, I want to talk about the great deception put on and narrative staged by the so-called worldwide leader in sports, ESPN. ESPN is not a major player in the sport of boxing. They're not, or should I say, they're not invested in the sport of boxing, okay? ESPN is what we call a casual boxing network, okay? ESPN does not cover the sport of boxing unless there's major fights. So with that said, we had a major fight this past Saturday in Australia between undefeated, now newly crowned, undisputed lightweight world champion, superstar boxer, Devin the Dream Haney, who is now 28 wins, no loss and no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. He is 23 years of age, 5 foot 9.5 with a 72-inch arm reach. He took on former now unified lightweight world champion, Australian star boxer, George Kambosos Jr. George Kambosos Jr. is now 20 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 10 wins by way of knockout, 28 years of age. He is 5'9" with a 68-inch arm reach. With that said, Devin Haney, in the ring, he outclassed George Kambosos Jr. He dominated the fight, won every single round, pitched the shutout. But more importantly, after that and during it, they looked to take away from Devin Haney's victory. And why do you say that, Blue? Because they go on to announce that as if this is something that happened before, okay? To diminish Devin Haney's accomplishment. And how do they diminish that? By misleading and misguiding the fans. More importantly, the casual fans or the detractors of Devin Haney, right? By announcing and putting up a list of fighters and stating that we already had 2 undisputed lightweight world champions in the sport of boxing, when there's never been a lightweight 4 major belt lineal Ring Magazine lightweight undisputed champion in the history of sport of boxing. There's never been. Okay? But to downplay it, they put up a list of 10 undisputed champions that held all 4 major sanction belts historically. That's never happened. Then they rearranged the order of the list to fit the narrative that they pushed. They rearranged the order of the list to fit the narrative, right? Because obviously, I've been talking about this for quite some time, but obviously, if they squeeze in former unified, and I'm gonna highlight unified, lightweight world champion, superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez, who is now 16 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout, 24 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. And they tried to squeeze in George Kambosos Jr. Now, with that said, if you don't know the history and the backstory of what took place, they rewrote history and they rearranged the list. There's only now 8 undisputed champions in the history of the sport of boxing to hold all 4 major sanction belts. Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. are not one of them. Okay? Number 1 was Bernard Hopkins. He was the first ever fighter in the history of the sport of boxing to hold all 4 major sanction belts, Ring Magazine and the linealship, and that was in the middleweight division, 160-pound division, in the glamour division. And then you had Jermaine Taylor, who duplicated that because he beat Bernard Hopkins to do it. So he became the second fighter in the history to do it. And then at number 3, you had Terrence Bud Crawford, okay, who did it at the junior welterweight division. That's at number 3. And then at number 4 came Alexander Usyk, who did so at the cruiserweight division, okay? And then at number 5, you had Josh Taylor, British superstar boxer, who duplicated it and did it at the junior welterweight division once again. So now we had 2 junior welterweights, okay? And then at number 5, at number 6, you had Saul Canelo Alvarez do so recently at the super middleweight division. And at number 7, That's Canelo Alvarez at 6. And then at number 7, you had Jermell Charlo, who just recently did so a few weeks ago against Brian Castano. Okay? That's 7. And then at number 8, we just had Devin Haney do it last night. But now, in order to push the narrative, they had to rearrange the order of the list. Why? Because if you saying that Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos are undisputed fighters, then you have to rearrange the list, right? Because that means that Canelo Alvarez will be at number 7, right? It's not possible for him to be at 6 if Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko before Canelo Alvarez beat Caleb Plant for undisputed. So they rearranged the list. And then you would have to put George Kambosos ahead of Jermell Charlo because he beat Teofimo Lopez before Jermell Charlo beat Brian Castano. So that's exactly what they did. They put up the list and they rearranged the order. And they told you it's 10 undisputed champions in the history of sport of boxing. So essentially what you're telling me is what Devin Haney accomplished has already been accomplished 2 times over. Because Teofimo Lopez did it, and then George Kambosos did it by beating Teofimo Lopez. So what they're trying to tell you is, in one of the glamour divisions, arguably the greatest division, not named the heavyweight division, because as the heavyweight division goes, so goes the sport of boxing. So you're telling the fans that Devin Haney accomplishment has been seen before and been done before, when it's never been done before and it's never been seen before. Okay, he is the WBC world champion going into this fight. You understand? So Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez or George Kambosos had to beat Devin Haney to become undisputed. Why do you say this, Blue? Because here's the backstory. You had former WBC lightweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, Mikey Garcia. He was the lightweight WBC world champion, okay? Mikey Garcia, he vacated the belt. He moved up, okay? And when he vacated the belt and he moved up, you had initially Olympic gold medalist, British star, lightweight title contender, Luke Campbell, fighting. The initial fight was supposed to be Luke Campbell versus Devin Haney. But then 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division world champion, former unified lightweight world champion. I'm going to highlight unified lightweight world champion, Ukrainian superstar boxer, Vasyl Lomachenko, leapfrogged Devin Haney, took on Luke Campbell, and beat Luke Campbell, which Devin Haney was already in line to fight for the WBC title. He was already the interim champion. Okay? So he was supposed to fight Luke Campbell for the official WBC title. But of course, the star status and the politics in the sport of boxing allowed Lomachenko to leapfrog him and fight for the belt because obviously they want Lomachenko to represent those titles. Okay? And so he leapfrogged him. And you can look at the interview that Champside has. Shout out to my brother Champside. You can look at the interview that Champside had, okay, where it's the press conference for Luke Campbell and Lomachenko, right? And Bob Arum is there. Devin Haney's father, trainer, manager, CEO of DHP, Devin Haney Promotion. Bill Haney is there. Eddie Hearn, matchroom CEO and promoter, and partner with DHP is there because he promotes Luke Campbell, okay? And Bob Arum, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter, is there. Why? Because he promotes Lomachenko. So Eddie Hearn, he stated to Bob Arum, okay, if Luke Campbell loses, my fighter loses to Lomachenko, are you going to allow Lomachenko to give Devin Haney the opportunity? Devin Haney will be his mandatory. Bob Arum responds by saying, no, Devin Haney signed with the wrong promotional company. For that highlights and let you know that they wanted to sign Devin Haney. He signed with the wrong people, the wrong promotional company, and it's not our fault. And so immediately following Lomachenko's victory over Luke Campbell, we are going to petition the World Boxing Council, better known as WBC, President Mauricio Suleiman, board of 32 members, to have Lomachenko franchised. Okay, now initially this franchise belt was just introduced not too long before that, when it was introduced for Canelo Alvarez to not have to honor his mandatory challenger in Jamal Charlo, undefeated 2-division world champion. So Canelo Alvarez was awarded the franchise, which essentially they explained that it's you vacating the belt, okay? And you're getting kinged. You know, you play checkers and you king your piece and you can move all around the board. You don't have to follow the rules. Well, they kinged Canelo Alvarez, right? So he didn't have to be honoring his mandatories and worry about mandatories. Then they elevated Jamal Charlo to WBC champion. Okay, so that was the rules. So what happened is Lomachenko beat Luke Campbell. He petitioned. The only two franchise champions in the history of sport of boxing is Lomachenko and Canelo Alvarez. Lomachenko got franchised. Devin Haney was his mandatory. He didn't have to honor the mandatory because he's a franchise champion. So he was sitting on the shelf, and they told you that you cannot win or lose the franchise title. It was an acknowledgement of your accomplishments. It's not an actual belt. It's not an actual sanctioned belt. So it cannot be won or lost. Okay? That was the initial rules for the franchise title. Well, guess what happened? Lomachenko waited around to, he can carry the title of, he's essentially vacated, but he can carry the quote unquote franchise title around, right? And so with that said, he fights Teofimo Lopez, who beats Richard Comey for the IBF title. Okay, so he fights Teofimo Lopez in a unification bout, and he loses. Now remember, you cannot win or lose the franchise title. It's an acknowledgement. Okay, you can't win it or you can't lose it, right? And so guess what happened? All of a sudden, they awarded Teofimo Lopez because WBC wanted to be included. Not included, right? They didn't want to not be included. So they wanted to be included to get their sanctioning fees. So then they all of a sudden stated that Teofimo Lopez's team petitioned to be franchised, and they awarded him the franchise title. Well, guess what? Then he honored his mandatory in George Kambosos Jr., who was the IBF mandatory, and then he lost. And then once again, they allowed the franchise to be transferred. But they're not the official champions because Lomachenko vacated the WBC title when he was king. Just like Jamal Charlo is the official WBC middleweight champion, and Devin Haney was elevated to WBC champion, just like Jamal Charlo was elevated to WBC champion. Okay? So, therefore, there is no undisputed champion in Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, or George Kambosos, because Devin Haney was elevated, just like Jamal Charlo was elevated to the WBC champion, and he's still the reigning champion since the day he was elevated, just 2 days before his fight with Brandon Adams in his hometown in Houston, Texas. And nobody views Jamal Charlo as not being the WBC champion at middleweight. Period. So the narrative and agenda that the ESPN, the quote-unquote worldwide leader in sports, is pushing to try to water down Devin Haney's accomplishment, it doesn't work. So there you have it. But this is why this is called old media, and we are new media. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, and get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Roll. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.